Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 10.
We begin tonight with breaking news as an inmate who failed to return to Center Inc. on December 5th is back in custody. Timothy Bulio Jr. was arrested on a charge of public nuisance by Red Lake Tribal Police this afternoon. The 37-year-old was wanted by U.S. Marshals in North Dakota on a federal warrant charging him with felony escape for leaving Center Inc. People in South Moorhead are on high alert tonight after hearing about several break-ins. Prowlers stole electronics and packages, including several marked as gifts from Santa. Valley News Team's Callie Hubbard spoke with neighbors along 9th Street South to find out how they're trying to keep the Grinches away.
He got up on this roof and then up on that roof.
Carolyn Barrows has lived in South Moorhead
Since 1979.
When she heard about the break-ins on 9th Street South, it sounded all too familiar.
He came in through this end window right there. Like I said, I got my adrenaline going. I woke up my husband and then we quick went to the door and he opened it up and the guy was just climbing back out the window.
Since Carolyn's experience, she says she leaves her kitchen lights on every night. Officials say it doesn't necessarily need to be kitchen lights, but it should look like someone's home. Another home was broken into on the same street Friday. They were gone for 3 hours, came back to missing electronics and gems. The people living here didn't want to go on camera, but they say something similar happened a block north. A minivan drove up the driveway and 2 people got out. One checked for locks around the house and the other one watched the driveway. While knocking on doors, I saw notes to the post office saying where to leave packages. Police are urging you not to do this.
If you want to make arrangements, if you do have a regular postal delivery person or, the parcel delivery people, that are on your routes to, let them know in person where they're at.
So before you head out to your holiday plans, make sure your doors are locked because you don't want any unexpected visitors while you're gone. In South Moorhead, Callie Hubbard, Valley News Live.
And police say they didn't find any of the thieves, but if you see anything suspicious, you're advised to give them a call. Authorities in Bismarck are asking for your help in locating this individual, 60-year-old Vincent Clarence Laframboise, who may be on his way to South Dakota. He's Native American, male, 5 feet 11 inches tall, 220 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. He should be wearing a stocking cap, a black coat, sweatpants, and tennis shoes. He suffers from short-term memory loss, and his family says that he left his home on Sunday. If you have any information, call them. A woman is sharing her story about being held at gunpoint inside her home by her ex-husband. In March of 2018, Kim Belgard says Lance Belgard stormed into their house armed with a shotgun. The couple had recently divorced, and as payback, deputies say, he held the gun to her face. He told her he planned to shoot himself and her and had already killed her parents, which was not true. After pleading guilty last week, his sentencing was set for May. Kim was hoping for a much sooner date.
It is very frightening to never know when I go home and I live in the country. Could he be there? Would I run into him somewhere?
We reached out to the lawyer representing Lance and to the Cass County State's Attorney for comments, and we have not heard back. District Court tells us trial dates are scheduled based on the judge's availability. A 21-year-old woman has been arrested as police in Maplewood, Minnesota, are investigating a woman found dead on a road. Early this morning, authorities were called to a report of someone who had been injured. When they arrived on scene, they found the 28-year-old St. Paul woman lying on the road. They believe she was hit by a car. Paramedics tried to revive the girl, but she died at the scene. Police believe there may have been a dispute with the 21-year-old before she was hit. Minnesota's law against revenge porn has been declared unconstitutional. The Minnesota Court of Appeals struck down the statute as it reversed the conviction of a man who circulated explicit photos of a former girlfriend. The court ruled that the state law was such a broad violation of First Amendment's free speech rights that it couldn't be fixed. The signing of the National Defense Authorization Act did more than just avoid a government shutdown. It now changes how the FAA can hire air traffic controllers. 5 years ago, the FAA was told it had to hit background quotas. Half of those hired had to have attended certified training institutions, such as the University of North Dakota. Reporter Jacob Noderman explains what it means now that the quotas are gone.
This is the UND School of Aerospace Sciences, the training ground for many who enter aviation. In aviation careers, it's no secret. Demand for labor isn't being met. And now Congress is allowing the FAA to hire more air traffic controllers with degrees specifically for the job.
Now they've come back to realize that it is important, does matter, especially when it goes to the success once the graduate is hired by the Federal Aviation Administration and trained as an air traffic controller.
Hiring was broken into two pools, one for veterans and graduates. The other were off-the-street hires, or those with 3 years of progressive work experience. UND is one of only a handful of certified institutions. In a statement, UND said their program was harmed by the old law, saying that it made their air traffic management degree less valuable in the FAA's eyes.
When the hiring preference was taken away, people didn't see the value on spending the time and getting the degree, and so they weren't pursuing that. And then, unfortunately, our numbers, as well as the numbers of collegiate programs around the country that were part of this, have fallen off pretty dramatically.
Aviation workers say there is a clear difference between the two pools.
They're not as quick because they're kind of playing catch up. As folks who went to UND and all that stuff, we're just ready to go. And it's a little bit easier to explain some of the more advanced concepts that go beyond our degrees.
As part of the changes, the FAA will also have to report on the performance of new hires.
The University of North Dakota gives most of the credit to North Dakota U.S. Senator John Hoeven, who helped introduce the legislation earlier this year. Remember your pets when it gets cold out there. If your pet is left outside, these are some friendly reminders. Your pet's shelter should be moisture-proof and big enough to accommodate the animal. It has to be made of durable material with a solid floor, raised at least 2 inches from the ground, and with the entrance covered by a flexible windproof material. The shelter also has to have a sufficient amount of bedding to provide insulation and protection against the cold and dampness.
Valley News Live 10 at 10 continues with No Wait Weather.
And taking a look outside on our Valley Sky Cam at this hour, you can see still some fresh snow there on the ground. And that hasn't hindered, though, our temperatures. Today we did top out, as we heard just a few moments ago, in the upper 20s and lower 30s for most of us, but that was right after midnight this morning. So temperatures have been falling from that point onward. Now 15 right now at Hector International Airport, but the light winds don't give us a wind chill. So no wind chill for this evening. We are about 4 degrees warmer, though, for our friends at the Moorhead Airport. And look at the dew point there. It's at 13, so I do expect still some cooling into those lower teens to middle teens here in Fargo at least. But for folks in Grand Forks, Cavalier in the single digits, the Devil's Lake Basin, lower teens at this hour, still holding on to a 28 in Fergus Falls and Detroit Lakes. That's the warm air for this evening, and I do expect the same kind of picture tomorrow where these Devil's Lake Basin is a little bit cooler, but the warmer air is off toward the south and east from Fargo. Right now, airport delays are at a minimum, which is good news for those Christmas travelers. I expect no weather impacts leading up to Christmas because our national weather map shows a whole lot of really no impactful weather for any air travel or ground travel as we go toward the Christmas holiday. We are seeing a system out there in Arizona and some snow showers through Utah into Idaho, but that's not looking like enough to really cause any impact for any of those travelers leading up to Christmas. We are watching again a system after Christmas. I'll talk about that in just a second. Right now, just some clouds across the area, even a few peaks of clear sky north of I-94, holding on to a few of those thicker clouds down toward the South Dakota border. So as we go through the overnight hours tonight, I do expect some fog to move in and could reduce visibilities if you are traveling, especially in Minnesota by tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. Notice still the warmer air toward the south and east, cooler in the Devil's Lake Basin. This is up again at 7:30 a.m., already above average for this time of year in the temperature department. By lunchtime, I do expect some sun to peek through just west of I-29, still holding on to those low clouds and that fog or mist in our Minnesota neighborhoods. And some of that fog could freeze on contact with some surfaces, so could make for some slippery spots out there if you're going out and about Tuesday morning or even into the afternoon and evening hours, as you see by 10 o'clock tomorrow night. This time tomorrow, still some of that fog hanging on in our Minnesota counties. But look at this, still 10 p.m., middle teens in the Devil's Lake Basin, but still holding on to those upper 20s and low 30s in Minnesota. Now, looking ahead to Christmas Day and the days after Christmas. This is Wednesday morning, Christmas morning. No fresh snow for Christmas Day, but as we go through the evening hours on Wednesday, we will see some snow move up from the south, and some of that could be a wintry mix as well. This does look to clear the area by dinner time on Thursday, leaving behind some snowfall for us here across the Red River Valley. This is, again, the American model. Advancing us on Friday, looks quiet. Now, Saturday, we'll see another system move in from the south and west. This one looks to mainly move through the Twin Cities area. This could graze our southeastern neighborhoods with some snow. Extremely far southeastern neighborhoods. This looks like more of a system that looks to impact the Twin Cities, and it could cause some air travel problems if you're returning from any of your destinations next weekend. Of course, we'll watch that very carefully for you. European model agrees that Wednesday, for the most part, stays dry until late. Some snowfall moves out from the south, and that hangs around through the evening hours there on Thursday, but then things do gradually clear off and push out as we head through the late hours on Thursday. Here's what we're expecting for snowfall totals. Expecting minimal snowfall up there in the Devil's Lake Basin, 0 to 1 inch. For most of us, 1 to 3 inches of snowfall for that lighter blue, but along the South Dakota, North Dakota border could see some areas of 2 to 4 inches. Of course, we'll update you as we continue to track the track of that system moving through the day after Christmas. We're in the 20s for Tuesday, and Wednesday. And then we stay in the 20s for the end of the week. And again, just seeing perhaps a few inches of snowfall, Mike, for the day after Christmas, which is something those travelers should be aware of, as it could make for some slippery spots.
And I have a tip for the viewers. Before you hit the road or you take to the skies for your holiday travel, make sure you have the Valley News Team Storm Team Weather app. You can keep up with the weather conditions anytime, anywhere. You'll get the latest forecast and conditions so you can plan your day. Just search VNL Weather in the App Store and download it for free. Up next on Valley News Live 10 at 10, justice or a sham? Reaction to the sentences handed down in the death of a Washington columnist in Saudi Arabia.